Aw man, I buttoned my pants around my cord. Here we go. Good morning!
Hello!
We're at Pearl Harbor today. We're about ready to go on our boat tour out to the USS Arizona, sunken ship. We're doing a little audio tour get up again today, but it should be fun. This is Brittany's first time being here, well in Hawaii in general, but seeing this is our third.
Yep.
I'm still hyped about it. What's up guys? It's Future Shelby over here in editing. Basically, I just wanted to jump on here real fast because we got to this point in the video where I actually was standing and talking to this man. He goes on a very long story, if you will, which I personally found very interesting, but for the sake of time, I decided to pop in here and kind of give an overview of what we were talking about rather than just letting the entire clip play. But everything I'm going to be telling you is all about the USS Arizona for the most part, so if you are unfamiliar with the events that happened at Pearl Harbor,
havoc wrought by the Japs' sneak sky and sea raid on Pearl Harbor.
A date which will live in infamy.
on the day of December 7th, 1941, completely in the middle of World War II, one of the most memorable and serious attacks that the US has gone through is the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The Japanese decided to attack the US territory of Hawaii. Pearl Harbor is a pretty giant military naval base. To this day, it's still an active naval base. It's one of the biggest naval bases for the United States in the Pacific, and the USS Arizona was one of the battleships that was bombed and sunk that day. If you do end up going to Hawaii and you visit Pearl Harbor, there is a USS Arizona memorial. That's what you will be seeing. That's the thing we visited, that we took the boat over from the mainland to the memorial. The memorial actually sits right on top of the sunken ship. The sunken ship wasn't like recovered. They kept the ship where it is because that is the final resting place for a lot of people and a lot of crew members. There were only 335 survivors of a 15-man crew on the USS Arizona. One of these survivors passed away in 1982, nearly 40 years after the end of World War II. One of the requests he made in his will was that he actually wanted to come back to the Arizona after dying and be laid to rest with the rest of his shipmates and the fallen ship. This was the first time the Navy had ever gotten a request specifically like this. So not only did the Navy grant his request to have him buried with his shipmates, but that actually opened the door for all of the remaining survivors, if they wished, to go through this interment ceremony and be buried with the ship. Inside the shrine room on either side of the Wall of Honor that displays the names of 1,177 fallen soldiers who were aboard the USS Arizona that day are two small monuments with a total of 43 names on them. These are the 43 men since 1982 who decided to come back to the Arizona and to be laid to rest with their shipmates. Up until September of 2019, there was only 5 survivors left, and now there are only 3. All remaining survivors have indicated already that they will be laid to rest in their respective states, in their family plots, next to their wives, or whoever they wish to be laid next to. However, Lauren Bruner, who died on September 10th of 2019 at the age of 98, would be the 44th and final member of the crew to be buried aboard the ship. The interment ceremony was held on December 7th of 2019. That is also the 78th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the family of Lauren Bruner brought him back to the Arizona for a completely full military burial before he was finally put back aboard the ship, and that is the final resting place for him and the 43 people ahead of him. They actually did a live stream of this ceremony. I'll definitely link it below. It's actually quite compelling. The actual burying process and the divers placing the ashes actually back aboard the ship. I encourage you to watch it if you're interested, just because this particular ceremony is specific to this ship and these crew members, which is also another reason that I find this very compelling. So why is this significant? Why should you care about this at all? Basically, Lauren Bruner's death and burial represents the closing of this chapter of history and this ceremony. As I just said, this ceremony is specific to these crew members and to this ship, and with him being the 44th and final person, that ultimately means that this ceremony will be coming to a close. Hence, this chapter of history coming to a close. I think it's really interesting to me just because there are not a lot of World War II vets still left alive, and those who are still alive are probably in their mid to upper 90s. So it's very interesting to me that we are getting to witness the end of this chapter of history. I obviously wasn't alive to see the events, nor would I necessarily want to see the events, but I obviously grew up studying them. I still study them, and so that's why it kind of felt a little more significant to me, just the fact that I was in Hawaii 1 month before this ceremony was supposed to be taking place, and it's the last ceremony that the Arizona will be having. I don't know, it just kind of felt like you stepped into history a little bit. But also, if you are interested, I wanted to let you know that you can actually purchase the flags that were actually hung on the USS Arizona Memorial the day of this ceremony for Lauren Bruner. As I said, that was December 7th, 2019. For every single one of these ceremonies, and also just every patriotic holiday, they fly tons of flags aboard the USS Arizona Memorial, and those flags are for sale. I'll leave a link down below if you are interested. I'm assuming that it's one of those situations that once they're gone, they're gone. I actually bought one of them myself, and I'm not gonna lie, this honestly feels like I'm holding a piece of history. History that really isn't tied to me at all, but for some reason it feels incredibly personal. When I was listening to this man tell us everything that I just told you, it almost felt wrong to pass up holding on to something like this, just because, like I said, I felt like I just stepped into a little bit of history, and now I own a little bit of that history. And maybe this kind of stuff is very unexciting to some people, but to me, these are the kind of stories that I feel like shouldn't be forgotten about, and they should be told. And this kind of stuff makes me excited, and that's why I wanted to take a step away from the beautiful views and having so much fun in Hawaii to actually take a minute to tell you about all this. Because the thing is, I know some people hate history, but we would not be the country that we are. We wouldn't be living the way that we are if we didn't honor those who made it possible. And I just know that I want to remember that. I want to remember that I was on the memorial 1 month before this final ceremony closing this chapter of history. That I find value in that. I just think that remembering these kinds of things, it's important. Last time I checked, they still were selling flags that flew on the day of this final ceremony. If you do order a flag, it comes with a certificate of flag presentation. I got mine in honor of my Uncle Pop. His actual name is Harry Archer. To me, he was always Uncle Pop. My Uncle Pop didn't fight in Pearl Harbor, however, he was active in World War II. He was in Iwo Jima, which is another Pacific island that had a lot to do with World War II. But I mean, when I was online ordering this, it felt wrong to put my name on here. So I wanted to get it in honor of him, even though he wasn't in Pearl Harbor. He was in Iwo Jima. It felt wrong to not put him on here. Well guys, that's actually all I have for this. This felt important to me, and I didn't want to just cut it out of the video. I didn't want to breeze right through it or anything like that. So if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for letting me get this story in. I hope that it was enlightening to you as well. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next vlog. We have one more Hawaii vlog and then back to our normal content. So